Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TMC water cooler. This is Tegiminis. As always, joining me today is the wonderful videos editor, Hendrick Tallardar. And also joining me is Grath of PL. He was on a previous episode talking about FanFest, but this week, since there's no FanFest, we're just bringing him on to have a friendly chat. So,
I'm also here to deliver electric shocks to Hendrick so he doesn't sound like someone stabbed his dog before the episode.
Wow. Well,
Wow.
first off, I don't have a dog. And second off, I wouldn't ever have a dog.
Wow, we've got some bombshells being dropped already, and we haven't even started. So Grath, as usual, we like to start off with what people have been playing. So what has caught your interest?
Nosgoth, the game about sparkly vampires, vampire hunters, and it's pretty good. It's in I guess a beta. I don't know if it's closed or open. They just gave away like a trillion beta keys, but it's pretty good. One team's vampires, one team's vampire hunters. There's different kinds of vampires. It's got a very Left 4 Dead feel to the setup of it, but it plays third person. It's pretty fun. I put an insane amount of hours into it. Like on day one, I think I played it for 8 hours straight. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, I think I saw it on early access, maybe.
Yeah, it's on Steam's early access, but MMORPG and a couple other like websites were just throwing out beta keys because that's what they do nowadays to get hits.
Yeah, people talking about it. Did you ever play this Half-Life 1 mod that was it was humans versus vampires, and the vampires had no weapons, but they could basically like leap around the map and climb up walls and stuff, and the humans had to kill off all the vampires and like stake them through the heart and that kind of thing. Did you ever play that? I think it's called Vampire Hunter.
I haven't. I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
I just remember spending a lot of time playing that game way back when. So good, very good times. So what about you, Hendrick? What have you been digging into?
I like many people I know from PL and Waffles. Nosgoth has definitely taken up a considerable amount of our gaming time as of late. I also got The Last Federation. The last time you spoke about it on this podcast, you made it sound boring as all shit. So I really wasn't that interested until I heard some pretty cool stories about it. And it's a really good game. Next time you try to market a game tag, you should probably work on it.
Hey, I'm just really terrible at hyping things, I suppose. Yeah,
it's a cool game. I mean, basically the premise is you're a space hydra, and you go around, and basically there's like a collection of other races, and the whole point of the game is to like build this like utopian federation where every race is like equally represented. But the way you do it is it's basically numbers manipulation, but you can play other races against one another. So you can make it so two races go to war with one another and one kills the other one off, and you get more power and like political influence and stuff. So it's really cool. It's like diplomacy in space, only not bad.
It's especially interesting because it's all about manipulating other races into liking you and then liking each other and sort of trying to manage people being jerks.
Yeah, it's a cool game. Arson Games have definitely done a lot of good shit with that game, and I'm happy that I finally picked it up. So I've been playing that and some Nosgoth.
A little bit of Dota too. I played a little bit of Dota.
Oh yeah, we actually we're talking about some Dota today with the Dota 2 International coming up. They broke $10 million in a prize pool.
Hell yeah.
$10 million fucking dollars.
Fat, never going outside nerds and still make baseball player money. No big deal.
Yeah, I mean, holy shit. That's
Man, I was gonna say, I don't know. Have you seen the professional Dota 2 players? They look like actually. I mean, they don't look like football players or anything, but they're
not fat.
Yeah, they're actually
they
pretty well. Yeah, they're pretty like well-built people. Like, you know, you may see one or two fat people at the international, but mostly it's going to be just like pretty average-looking folks.
There's this dude from League of Legends, and this is a couple of years ago, like 2011, when I used to do some esports like related shit, which I describe it as literal shit. It was terrible what I was doing, but basically, there's a guy from League of Legends. He had like this long, greasy, like nasty hair, like past his shoulders, like this just fucking terrible neck beard going, and he just looked like the biggest turbo nerd ever. And the only time I ever saw him, like at gaming related shit, was at fucking League of Legends esports stuff. I think he was like with the Dignitas or something like that, one of the like pro esports teams. And the dude would basically embodied everything that is like stereotypical about esports players. It was too funny to like not laugh at the guy, and I feel terrible for laughing at him, but at the same time, I mean, he looks pretty
he's
like
gonna make
rank.
$10 million. He potentially, you can laugh all you want. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, that's true. Joke's on me. I'm not making that much money anymore.
Yeah,
Or in comparison.
And then I guess what I've been playing is I've been going through the new Payday stuff. I actually haven't played Payday since Armored Heist, or before Armored Heist actually. So I've been digging through Payday 2 and remembering why I love Payday 2 so much. And then much like last week, I've been playing a lot of custom Doom WODs. Still kind of the same ones, but yep. So that's about it. So since we were talking about Dota 2, there's the 10 million in total prizes, mostly fueled by the sales of the compendium. And then apparently they are also going to have a special stream of the International where they actually teach the game to newer players that are trying to watch the International. Like the commenters are going to focus more on technical commentary rather than just, hyping up the game. So,
Thank God, because Dota and like esports games like Dota or like StarCraft are just, if you don't know what the fuck's going on, it's just really fucking hard to like give two shits. And,
yeah.
like, that's why I think like games like fighting games like Injustice and Mortal Kombat, like those are so much more fun to watch because you know easily what's going on. Dota, it's like, so they're doing this thing. Cool.
You know what?
Yes.
Even when I know what's going on, I find it incredibly hard to watch someone else play a game. It's like when you hung out at your buddies before the internet was really a thing, and you just played console games, and somebody else had the fucking controller. That's like the most boring experience of your entire life. Why would you ever sit? Like the entire esports thing is lost on me. Like I don't want to watch you play a fucking game. I'd rather play it myself. And even if I know what's going on, I still don't want to watch you play it.
So
I definitely don't want to watch you talk about somebody else playing it.
So you're not a big fan of like Alliance Tournament and any?
No, but like really, the AT was the first one I ever got into, and I'm only into it at all because we put a team in it every year. Like, I guess I'm personally invested in that. Other than that, esports I could give a fuck less about. Like I watch people's movies and stuff if they're well put together, but generally, if your Eve movie is you zoomed all the way the fuck out for 25 minutes and me basically just watching your fucking HUD, then I don't want to see that shit either.
Yeah, I have to say Alliance Tournament is probably the only esport event that I actually like enjoy watching. The rest I could not give two shits about. Maybe it's because I'm an Eve player and like I'm more invested in Eve, but it was like at least when they do the stuff that they do for Alliance Tournament, they explain what's going on, and you have a lot of like bars and shit that easily explain health, shield, armor, hull, or like the health and the damage and stuff. And also you're seeing pretty spaceships blow up, so there is that, and then the post-match analysis of like what the hell happened is pretty good.
Yeah, you aren't even into Evo because I really dig doing Evo.
I like
parties.
watching like fighting game tournaments and stuff like Evo and shit, but I don't follow Evo. Like I follow more of the Alliance tournament than I do of Evo, in the sense that I pay attention to all the matches in Alliance tournament. I don't pay attention to like all the matches in Evo, just because like also the fact that Evo is not like in a single game event, it's like fucking 40. And
yeah,
like the same. There's like one guy who's in like 10 of them, and he can win like first place in 5 of them. Like holy shit! Like no, come on, that's not fun. Like that's just kind of dumb to me, at least.
I think that it's a matter of like becoming personally invested in whatever you want. Like it's kind of like how you usually support the sports team of wherever you grew up or wherever you're living, where people tend to just drift towards specific sports and specific teams and then root for them over others. And I think that it's kind of like that with esports stuff. Dota is definitely a very difficult esports to get in, or like Dota and other games like it, like League of Legends and stuff. It's a very difficult game to get into for watching. To their credit, Valve actually in previous internationals has done pretty well at explaining what's going on. But I do like that they're specifically making a beginners-only stream where the person is explaining like the most basic concepts as characters are doing them. Like, oh, what like in the normal stream, somebody might be like, oh, they're doing a creep pull, and then somebody's like, well, what the hell is a creep pull? And then hopefully the beginner stream will be like, well, here's what a creep pull is, blah 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 blah, and. But yeah,
what trilaning means and why it's important at that point. Like, I try to play Dota and I'm bad at it, and I've always been bad at it since like day one. But at least I've had people explain it to me along the way, like I'm an idiot, and I'm happy that. See, the thing is like you try to watch like football or baseball and shit, right? Those games are kind of easy to understand, but when it comes to like the finer rules or the finer techniques, like how the curveball works or why a certain play worked against a different play, like you have fucking John Maddens out there kind of like explaining and drawing silly graphs or outlines and shit, and that works because they're treating you like you're an idiot. Or like even in boxing and like MMA, they Joe Rogan will explain it to you like you don't know what's going on each and every fight of that match, and that's good because it helps you solidify and understand why a certain thing happened in a certain way, even though it may be a complicated thing that happened.
It makes the event more socially, I don't know what's the word, lubricated. Like you can take people to a fight who have never been to a tight fight, or go to someone's house and everybody can sit around on pay-per-view and drink beer and watch a fight. And even if you're not into fighting, because Joe Rogan explained everything like your IQ is that of his shoe, everybody knows what the fuck is going on all the time.
Yeah. And that's good. That in a lot of esports don't treat you like that. A lot of esports are like, you should know everything about this game because you're watching this. And it's like, nah, like that's not how it works, and that's not how you're going to get more viewers.
Yeah, I think that Dota 2 is generally okay. I think that League of Legends has had troubles with that, and StarCraft 2 especially. StarCraft 2 streaming is impenetrable unless you already know what StarCraft 2 is and how it's played and maybe not all of the nuances, but enough of the nuances that you can pick up on new terms pretty quickly. StarCraft 2 is just a nightmare to watch if you're not into it. Like, but you can pick up and watch Evo because it's a fighting game and people generally understand like what a fighting game is, right?
Well, so in like Evo's example, literally all it is there's player 1 bar, player 2 bar. As soon as that bar goes down, match is over. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and punching and kicking, and sometimes they do really flashy moves. Like, and there are some games that are way more simple, and there are some games that are way more complicated. But it all comes down to like one person versus one person, same screen, really easy to follow the action, and it's all about just beating the shit out of the other person. Whereas like with strategy games like StarCraft or Dota, there's like a lot more complexities and subtleties to how it goes. So I would actually say that they're probably comparable in terms of complexity to like try and commentate and bring people into watch as the Alliance tournament, just in how many different things you need to know in order to really be invested. I think that's why y'all are invested in the Alliance tournament, is because that's kind of like you understand that, Eve, right? So when you look at Alliance tournament stuff, like it's exciting, right?
The thing I like about Alliance tournament, at least, they kind of ignored like ship fittings and like the discussion of those, obviously for various reasons. One, because CCP doesn't have that access to like that information of what ship is being used unless it's dead. So that's kind of, or like what mods are being used. But it's like a minor thing that's kind of like, it's more, I guess it's more beneficial to not need like that detailed of information to know what's going on. Basically, it's in Eve, at least, it's very similar to fighting games in which as soon as all the other guys are gone on the other team, the team it's basically last man standing, right? And that's an easy enough concept to understand. And you have and what's really nice is on the AT, like they have the little bars of like damage, control, shields, or health reps or whatever, and that's easy enough to understand. Shit like StarCraft 2, you don't have that information displayed. You can kind of see it in like APM and like actions per minute and shit like that, but it's not as easy to comprehend.
Doesn't matter. You don't need to understand anything about six pool except for the fact that the other guy is always six pooling.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, he's six pulling. He's like, okay, what does six pulling mean? Whereas like in at least AT, it's like, holy shit, they're running for the edge of the arena, and they ran out and like they tricked the other guy to just zoom past them outside the arena and get disqualified. Like that's an easy enough concept for everyone to understand, because I think some of us have at least watched one sumo video or King of the Mountain or the King of the Hill type thing.
I think it's also interesting because there's also something that we're talking about with StarCraft and Dota and Alliance Tournament and fighting games. And that Alliance Tournament and fighting games are they are one match bouts, basically. Like you beat somebody until they're down, and then that's it. With games like StarCraft 2 or Dota, there will be multiple times where you beat the other player down, but the actual game isn't over. Right?
And
like,
that's kind of what annoys me about like StarCraft 2, and the argument has always been, well, it's to prevent cheesing. And it's like, they still cheese. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's more just like it's interesting to see like short form sports competition, like short form competitive stuff where it's like really quick bouts or really easy to follow bouts, like Counter-Strike, Quake, like fighting, like actual fighting, like UFC, stuff that's just kind of like really easy to follow. It's not maybe not over quickly, but like when a person loses, they lose, that kind of thing. Instead of like a game that's played over a much longer period of time, where like somebody can lose multiple times and then win, kind of thing, which is something that you see in Dota 2 all the time, right? Like comebacks and that kind of thing. It's interesting. And I think that's part of why those games are a lot more impenetrable, is because it's not so like cut and dry when somebody it's cut and dry when somebody loses in an Alliance tournament match, right? Like their team is down and that's it. But if your team dies in Dota 2, like that's a setback, but it's not a victory for the other team,
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing. Like I think that's why a lot of esports are just not doing well. A lot of games trying to be esports are just not doing well. PlanetSide 2 is trying to be an esport. It's not that easy. Like the rules are just overly complicated. And it's also like, to be honest, like Grant said, no one really wants to sit there and watch people play another video game. Like you can play yourself. Like it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Especially something like PlanetSide 2. That's more like built for like a once a day 20-minute newscast or some shit like that, where you I couldn't imagine how you could take the concept of PlanetSide 2 and turn it into an esport without
basically what they
the
did is they made it into a non-PlanetSide 2 situation, as far as I understand. Like it's kind of like what they do in Eve, where it's like you can only bring 10 people on your team. It's like, okay, but that's not what PlanetSide 2 is about.
Yeah, they have like a special territory set up that is only available by having the devs put you there, and it's basically like its own little island that is sort of a distillation of the main PlanetSide 2. It's kind of interesting, but one of the big problems in esports, and there's a reason why like first-person shooters kind of dropped out of favor in favor of fighting games and like StarCraft and stuff, is first-person shooters are really difficult to follow, because you have to follow like 12, at least team-based ones. You have to follow like 12 different people all jumping around like maybe not a huge map, but like a fairly large map, and sort of keep track of everything that's going on. And then in an RTS game or like Dota, you can just look at the mini-map and jump between like the important spots, and it's pretty easy to follow. And in like a fighting game or Alliance tournament, it's like there's only one real avenue of being hit, like the grander the scope, the more difficult it is to make it an esport, I think.
Yeah, it's obviously like basically in general, most sports, the less overly complicated things are for the audience to understand, the easier time you're going to have in just getting people to watch it.
And that's why I actually really like basketball and hockey, is because they're kind of
Yeah, like hockey
they're
and basketball
smaller.
are amazing examples, or soccer even, because the World Cup's going on.
I don't know
Rugby.
about soccer. Soccer and football are kind of they trip me up because their fields are so huge and so many people doing so many different things. Whereas and you can go a really long time without anybody scoring or anything really happening. Like a lot of stonewall defense kind of stuff. But in games like basketball or hockey, there's always somebody trying to score. It's always like somebody's trying to shoot the puck into the goal, or like basketball where it's like 270 points at the end of the match.
Yeah, basketball and hockey are nice in that they have a smaller field of play. But I mean, it's the same. Basically, what I was saying about football, rugby, and soccer is basically that it's easy enough to understand, even if it has large fields of play, and there's it's lengthy and it's period between scores. But at the same time, at least it's easy enough. Oh, this team's now they're fighting over the ball in this portion. Oh, the one guy from team A just ran it down 40 yards that way. That's that's easy enough to understand. Fucking understanding automatically off the bat how a certain build in StarCraft 2 works does not entertain me in any capacity. That's just that's not something I don't think many people will find fun.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting though because StarCraft is the biggest esport. Was until
I would
League
say
and Dota
when
2.
Dota 2 is giving out $4.7 million to first place, and the StarCraft 2 esports scene has pretty much collapsed. That since the main Korean groups have basically stopped playing, they're GSL's no longer around, shit like that, and that StarCraft 2 is not the regularly watched esport thing. Now it's League of Legends or Dota 2 tournament. StarCraft 2 is not top dog anymore.
Yeah, I meant that it was the top dog rather. It definitely had a good draw to it, and I think part of that was because you could really get into personalities and color, and it was a good looking game, and people could watch it pretty easy, and even if you didn't understand what was going on, you could be ooh, there's explosions and stuff going on. That's pretty cool. But then with Dota and League and stuff, where you're getting everybody's moving over to those, and they seem to be a lot more sports oriented, where there's individual teams and people play specific roles on the teams, and I think people are getting into those more because they playing a game of Dota 2 resembles an actual sport more than StarCraft does.
I really hope StarCraft makes a comeback. I can't imagine Day 9 ever being able to get a real job and
he
him on
has
welfare.
a job now. He does YouTube stuff. That's all he does now, from what I understand. I know he does his live stream stuff with StarCraft 2 and shit, but he does a lot of non StarCraft 2 content, because I think he and others are realizing this isn't gonna last for another year or two.
I also think that Day 9 could actually transition into commenting on pretty much any game. He would just have to spend some time doing it. He's actually Day 9 is one of the better esports commentators. I think he does a generally pretty good job. I mean, I can't really think of any other big names besides Day 9, except maybe Husky.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so let's talk about some more esports stuff in Hearthstone, because apparently that's now an esport.
Oh boy.
And I know Grath has his opinions, so I'll let him.
That's that stupid ass fucking card game.
Yeah, it's a card game based around
That sums up my opinion right there. Then.
Okay, well, there's actually a story behind why we're bringing it up, because a esports group called the International Esports Federation (IESF) is having a tournament in Finland where they banned females from playing Hearthstone in their tournament.
What?
Yeah, it is a no women are allowed to play in the Hearthstone tournament, because it feeds into a larger tournament that also has no women playing Hearthstone.
Well, it would make sense. If you're going to play a bitch-ass game, it'd make sense that you're afraid of a bunch of bitches coming in and being better at it. I mean, that's just a shitty, stupid-ass fucking game. But, now we're not going to... Whatever.
I can... So to play the role of devil's advocate, and I'm not saying... I'm saying...
You're in danger. Are you married?
No.
Okay, you should stop if she can hear you.
No, I'm not saying that what they did is right. I'm saying that their logic behind it, I can understand their logic behind it. It's stupid. It's very fucking stupid. So the way I figure their logic behind it is actual sports segregate according to gender, right? Because you're not gonna want to have a 400-pound, like 7-foot NFL linebacker in a women's league, right? And I think that's what they're going for here, except for with esports, there's no actual like physical separation necessary at all because it's all played on a computer, right?
If somebody hasn't, if that's their excuse and their reason, and somebody hasn't thrown a gigantic bullshit stop sign right in front of them, because that is the most, like, I mean, that's real sports. Okay, so you outweigh the girl by 150 pounds, something like that. There's a risk of injury and shit like that. You may want to leave, but even that's questionable because like shit like punters and kickers and shit like that, they don't get hit all that fucking often, and they're basically treated like women in the league anyway. So you might as well let a girl play the part because she's probably better. So, but for an esport where there's no physical confrontation between the gamers at all, and it's all just mental, when you ban a particular sex, you look like a fucking douchebag. Like there's no high ground you can take. You're in the bottom of a fucking well. Give it up.
Yeah, and there really isn't. I think that's what they're trying to like defend it as, but it's like you can't possibly defend it that way. It's just a bunch of people wiggling around little electronic peripherals to make things happen on a screen. There's no like actual major physical problem involved in playing a video game. Like the closest thing is hand dexterity, which isn't actually tied to any particular, like there is no issues with dexterity between the sexes. Like
what I find funny is because it's happening around video games, and video games have come under fire for a lot of misogyny and like sexism, and that whole argument's been raging on. We had that discussion like a week or two ago. It's not at all surprising that this happened in a fucking esports situation.
Yeah, and I think it's people trying to gain legitimacy through traditionalism without sort of like thinking about what the hell they're doing.
I think you have it backwards. You pick an asinine stance and you detract a ton of press to your bullshit fucking thing that might otherwise go relatively unnoticed in the passage of the of time in the universe. You have now put a gigantic fucking target on it by being a complete and total dickhead. So at least everybody is aware that your shitty tournament is happening for your stupid ass game. Before that might not have been the case. Now it is.
Yeah, it was such a stupid reason for them.
Really crappy PR stunt type thing.
Yeah, it was just a dumb reason for them to fucking ban. Like, oh well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know what the female field
game
is. I don't know what the female gaming field is for that. Maybe it was small enough that there was only like 3 applicants that were chicks or some shit, and they could take a fucking stance that gave them the gigantic blinking asshole sign that everybody would notice without actually damaging the tournament's competitive field or something. Like maybe that's something that they had where they were just like, we can take this hit, no big deal.
I don't understand how anyone in the 21st century just sit there and be like, yeah, it totally makes sense. It's such a valid reason. It's perfectly fine. IESF, we're in the right. Everyone's just being mean to them. Like, no, like they fucked up. Like, let's be honest.
Anybody saying that's fucked up. There's like no legitimate reason you can't fucking segregate. It'd be like, why don't you just say no black people can play, right? Like that, you wouldn't go over any better at all. Like.
Yeah, not go over at all, and I think that's even more hilarious that there would be people who would actually try to defend them over that.
Yeah. Those are all the people that the gene pool would be better off without, though. So no big deal.
Grath is laying it down.
Yeah, it's so funny hearing about like all these like really dumb esports related things happening lately.
I think it's because we're in a phase where gaming is starting to actually mature as a medium and as a sport, right? And we're having to actually confront a lot of systemic issues with games and like sexism in games, sexism in esports, like just like just shitty bigotry all around, and sort of like challenging preconceived notions about what a game can be and how we can talk about them.
Yeah, well, I'm a filthy, greasy, misogynistic, racist pig of a man, and if I tell you crossed the line, you should probably fucking work your shit out and evaluate where you're at in life. Because, like, when it's too far for me, then it's, like, fucking stupid. And, like, separating girls, I would like them. I mean, I watch Laundry League football. Like, that's kind of fun. Like, bitches slamming each other's cool. Whatever. If they want to play football, like, I'd be down with that. I would love to see a fucking running back smear some bitch that thought she was going to be a linebacker. That would make my fucking day. Like, I don't even want to keep them out of those kind of sports. Not that I like to beat women. I just, think that a woman that wants to go play football with men is going to get what she deserves. Like, if a girl wants to go play fucking some Twitch-related sport and thinks she should compete, let her go try. If she can, great. If she wants to run down the field with 375-pound ogres of men and get trampled to death and she wants to try, fuck it, let her. I'm going to watch either way.
I think there's actually no official rule in the NFL that says you can't join because of your gender. Like, as far as I understand, like, there's no rule against that, which is kind of funny because people are like, well, it's for the purity of the sport. Men should only be in the NFL.
Female kicker. Our high school had a female kicker and punter. She was she came from the girls' soccer team or whatever, and she was pretty fucking amazing. She could make some banging ass long field goals, like no big deal. She was good at her job. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, like on the day of this recording, we have one of the UFC fights is tonight. Like, is a championship fight between Ronda Rousey and I can't remember who her opponent is, but basically it's a women's like 135-pound fight. Ronda Rousey trains with like dudes who are like 200 pounds, and like they flat out say she beats us up, and it's not nice. Like, she's not nice about it. She's a mean chick.
Ronda fights 135 pounds, and she will beat all of your ass. She will beat your ass with one of your friends' ass. Like, that's the ass beating you would take from her. Like,
and I always find that funny because like they'll be like, oh man, we can't let those girls into our video games. Like, they're gonna be in it no matter what, man. Like, I don't know if you've looked around, but women are everywhere.
Yeah, they're here to stay.
They're not going anywhere. I think they outnumber us too, so you might want to worry about that.
Non-shocker, though, that the first place women have been banned in like 100 fucking years happens to be a Hearthstone game. Thank God none of those people.
Thank goodness we can't get any women to play our man sport of shuffling around animated cards on a virtual playing field and seeing pretty lights and colors flash out of it.
Centered around the tried and true and pure masculine World of Warcraft. Do not touch my night elf belly dancers, please. Blizzard. Like, god damn, like, no, come on.
Yeah, so anyway, that's pretty bad and terrible. And soon they'll all die lonely and old, and we'll not have to worry about them having kids because they don't like women.
Yeah, I mean, at least IESF, like, rescinded the whole thing, but they still have this, like, black mark against them now. They're like, come on now.
Wait,
like,
they changed their mind?
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, that...
Somebody went home and their wife found out that they're part of that gaming thing, and their wife found out about that shit, and they didn't get no pussy. They still haven't got no pussy because of it. Like, they're still literally in lockout because of it, and that's why that changed back. You don't have a woman in your life and get to support a thing where women are banned from. That's just not real.
Yeah, I think, like I said, like, it's kind of funny in the 21st century we're still dealing with fucking people being banned based off gender or, like, race or something like that. And, like, not in just in video games, but, like, in all walks of life. But especially in video games, it's hilarious because it's, like, that is probably arguably an evidence of, like, you're in a highly civilized country. Why the fuck is it still acting like you're in the 1920s? So Battlefield 4 is getting its next expansion, supposedly in mid-July, called Dragon's Teeth. And
nobody cares. It's so sad. I love that. It's my, like, I'm a Battlefield junkie, right? For ages and ages. Love me some Battlefield, yeah? Even paid them $15 for Battlefield 2142 10 years or whatever it is later. Like, I gave them that money because I wanted to have that copy, that game tied to my Origin account so bad. And they shit the bed on Battlefield 4 like nothing I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, and then the fact that they're doing Battlefield Hardline, like, right after all these shit went down with Battlefield 4, it's like...
Yeah, it's like...
It's not even, like, 2 years later. It's 6 months. And you're like, come on.
Oh, other video game news. Coming up in 2 days will be the 1-year anniversary of the Revenant Loss.
Oh, is it?
You guys got to go kill another Revenant to, or lose
We have a
another
lot of
Revenant,
fucking
whatever.
Revenants now.
Are
Like we
you
can like
are you
I
going to
think.
prohibit Centrispike from recruiting people for the next like week or so?
No. I'm hoping it happens again.
That's you guys should do like a Revenant brawl in Nullsec or something, like a big PL event.
Yeah,
Like here, we'll just sacrifice a Revenant. You come in the whore on the skill mail, and then just have everybody like try to defend the Revenant, keep it from dying.
I think Phalanx 3, who's the finance dude for PL, would have a heart attack if he heard about that. He's like, I just sorted out all the BTAC-R finances. Come on.
We just finished. He just released the finance report for us internally. I'm not going to spoiler it because Elise asked that we not put that one out in public, which is cool. Like last year we did. This year he asked me not to put it out. So I think Val's going to come up with a sanitized publication version that has. I mean, like he went really detailed. We know exactly how much the Alliance spent on fucking CSPA charges from other people. Like that's how detailed our finance report is. But yeah, and that should come out. And we're just about done. The Last Titan's in build now, and it'll be out last week of July, first couple weeks of August, some shit like that. And it'll be 100% done. I think even all our bills are paid. Like we don't owe anybody money or owe any of the members money that might have helped out or anything. I think all of the shit's covered.
So what you're saying is y'all are almost ready for another BTAC-R.
Oh, something like that. You can lose 30 Titans and somebody odd trillion ISK, and it only takes you really 6 months to recover. We did make 10 trillion ISK in that time period from June 2013 till January 2013 to June 2014. We pulled in 10 trillion ISK.
And you only spent like what, like
11 trillion ISK is what we spent the same period. So.
Man, if Eve had like regular BTAC-Rs, it would lose its like magic and like appeal to a lot of people, like outside the the Eve community and shit. Like you wouldn't see it on sites like IGN as often as you would.
Yeah.
If it was like once every like 4 years, some shit goes down that's just like, holy fuck, this isn't supposed to happen.
It's like always my alliance that's getting a dick in it too. So. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like forever us.
will always forever be known as the alliance that lost the Revenant, the most expensive single ship loss in the game, or like up to that point. They at least didn't whoop the Asakai, so you have that. But you also like forgot to pay a Sov bill and lost about every Titan you owned.
And so before that was the Y-Dash curse. We had Y-Dash 2 when we lost Fountain, when we held that. And then there was a second Y-Dash up north. And we jumped in there because Seamus came home from work. And he jumped in the channel. He's like, what's going on? What's going on? And Shadu's like, yeah, we're fighting this and that. And they're dropping supers on grid. Without even asking anything else, Seamus just told everybody to log in and jump. And, of course, we love Seamus. So we all logged in and jumped. And it turned out the entire NC Supercap fleet was on the other side of that. So we ended up getting out of that with like 7 Titans short or some shit. It was a good time. But yeah, so.
It's going to be kind of fun because this summer's been really slow. So
I think it'll stay so. It looks like most of the major groups are. I don't think you're going to see anything more than skirmishes coming up shortly. I think you're going to. Like the CFC guys will be bouncing around, dicking around with the various little pirate groups that attack them every time they turn their back now. That takes up a lot more time than you think it does. And NC Dot and Nully will largely are focusing on tournament teams. Triumvirate's focusing on a tourney team.
So wait, did I just hear Grath say that Gevlon Goblin is relevant?
Did I say it? If I did, I'm sorry.
You were talking about the pirate groups, and Gevlon likes to.
Oh, if he takes
credit
for that, he's full of shit. He doesn't have anything to do with any of that. So, but
yeah, I know. I just want
to throw that out there so nobody gets to say anywhere that Grass said fuck Goblin. He has nothing to do with it. Like, it's just a different groups. Like, if they fuck off from Delve for a little while, Pizza and the groups around there get a little angsty. When they fight, and when they go down there to deal with that, you normally Triumvirate and Moa and all them dudes up north fuck with them a little bit. So they've been getting bounced back and forth fairly regularly at home. And they like, it's content for them. Like, we're all bored. They got tons of shit to do. They got fleets every day and stuff because they got to deal with all this stuff.
And yeah, like it's gonna be like this until at least after AT, and that's like mid to late August, and like that's another month, and this shit's been going like slow since fucking January. Like
Yep.
after BTAC, everyone's like, can we just not fight anymore? Like no more fights. Like let's just not fight because it's fucking hard now.
Well, no, it's just not only that. It's like you can't fly a shield fleet in 0-0 because of bombers for any reason. Like you're not gonna bring any strategic level fleet that's based around shields, and that's all it really takes to kill most shield doctrines. Is like fucking 16 bomber, two wings of bomber, or two squads of bombers will kill just about every shield based fleet that you can exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time to be in EVE. I mean, now that they're shifting to the 6-week patch schedule, that's also going to be
that's not an excuse.
factor.
People are just lazy right now. That's why nothing's happening. So the people that are complaining are the people that don't do anything, and the people that do stuff have been doing stuff for like a year and a half and just don't feel like it, and nobody else has stepped up to take their place. And that's just a thing that happens in cycles in EVE. Like just right now, we have a thing where all of the different people that are from all of the different groups that create general content have all kind of like taken a little break. And so since they all did it at once, there's not really a lot going on. But you'll find the people that complain loudest about that are the people that do the least on a general basis.
Well, it's like
for the past month I haven't played the game, and I just logged in for the first time for a fleet today. And like all of June, I basically didn't play. And I couldn't deal with EVE anymore.
This is kind of interesting too, because isn't this like the first time in EVE where it's been relatively quiet in Null since like not even like what, early 2013? Like first time it's been actually quiet in about a year, because then there was the whole Fountain War, and then immediately after the Fountain War was Halloween War, and then there was the cleanup from that, and it's like about a month ago, cleanup finished, you guys are done. It's
well, there
just
was
everybody kind of...
There was the gap between Fountain and Halloween that was basically Alliance tournament, but Fountain still like kind of raged on for a bit. Like there was just the cleaning up.
There was the taking of the drone regions from Solar, which as soon as that was done, we went down to Delve, and we helped take all of Delve. And then when that was done, we went and finished Solar off over in the drone regions the second time around. And then the Fountain War happened, and then there was that short brief pause, and then the Halloween War happened. And the Halloween War was pretty activity intensive at the higher levels, so it was pretty constant as far as activity goes. So when all of those people that did all that for basically a year and a half, 2 years, take a break, you see it in the game. And there are of course going to be people that are like, oh, it's so boring and blah blah blah, but we'll get off your ass and go fucking do something. Why? And I have a quote in my forum signature for some guy who told me that he doesn't have the resources that the FCs do. They didn't get that shit by magic, motherfucker. They went out there and did their fucking job until people started giving it to them, and that's how they did it. They did it without help in the beginning. So like, if you don't think that there's any content being created in your particular area, get the fuck off your fat ass and go do something.
I think it's also
to live by in online.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people just complaining.
But they wouldn't do anything on their own. Like, I mean, but I get it. I do all my own stuff now. Like, I've been playing. Like, I get maybe an hour or two a day to play, and I generally just roam around by myself until I lose a kilo.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing so far I've seen is a low-sec person complained on our site update about how we don't cover like 60-man low-sec subcap brawls, and I'm just like,
right?
Yeah, because they happen every day. It's not like, at least as far as I log in, which for a while was like every day I was in for 3 or 4 hours. There was at least 60-man brawls going on for a good couple months, but it's like, they weren't overly important in low-sec, you know what I mean? Like,
not even that.
Low-sec, they just weren't vitally important.
You guys have a submission section, right? And the rule for the site was always from the beginning, like, that submission site was made because people didn't, there were writers that could submit things that weren't on staff or whatever. Like, but if you want a thing covered and it's not covered, you can write it and put it in the submissions thing, and if it's not dog shit and it doesn't look like it was written by a fucking paraplegic 5-year-old or something like that, then it will generally get posted. Like, that's a thing that happens there. Submissions get posted all the time. If something's happening in your area and you have any talent at writing at all, you can write it and submit it to the site, and it will actually get published. It might get edited because you spell like a fuck, but I mean, other than that, it will get published.
Yeah, that's a. I actually really enjoy hearing people complain about like spin these conspiracy theories about TMC like editing articles to like spin it in a particular direction and stuff. And it's like, I mean, you've submitted articles to us, Grath. You know how it works.
I still have a writer's
Like,
account. I actually still have a TMC writer's account. I just haven't had the time, or there haven't been any fights really worth writing about anything in a long ass time, and so I haven't. But like, my shit I submit my shit to somebody that edits it just like everybody else. I actually had an argument with one of the editors because I didn't like, he wanted me to take my sarcasm out, and I'm like, if you take my sarcasm out, it's not really my writing anymore. That's kind of like what makes it me.
But which reminds me, Grath, you should submit more op-eds to TMC now that it's the quiet time. Like,
what's great about Grath, right, is like his entire persona is just sarcasm. So if we took the sarcasm out, it wouldn't be a Grath piece. It would be fucking like a angry mustache piece.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the fucking piece was about or whatever. But anyway, like, anybody can write for the site if you have. And I'm not a great, like, my shit looks like fucking Hatchet Man when I turn it in, and y'all go through and put periods in the right spots and fix words and, you know, put words in that actually mean real things and you can find in a dictionary instead of the shit that I put in. Like, take out all the cuss words sometimes, not all of them, but at least the harsh ones. You know, other than that, they'll take it if you want to write it. If nobody is reporting your fucking 60-man brawls, it's because you're not submitting the articles about them. And that's basically it.
And also, like, our whole thing is it needs to be notable in some way. And if it's just like, if it's just two 30-man fleets just like shooting at each other for a while, and then one of them wins and then they leave, it's like, whatever. If there was something cool or like some interesting doctrine or like tactics or it can be tied into a larger narrative, or there was like
maybe your
really
group
big
goes
boss.
around, 30-man group goes around brawling for like fucking 6 hours one night and gets in like 10 different fucking fights or some shit like that, and you write like a night in Nullsec or some dumb shit like that. Like, something, make it something, but like just submit it, because
we could have done something like that. Like Waffles did a night where like literally for like a good 5 hours period, Apostle was seeing
yeah.
I don't remember what type of fleet it was, but basically, like, for 5 hours straight, we were just constantly fighting various militia fleets, and it was actually really cool because for 5 hours straight, like, we only lost like 3 or 4 people, and they just reshipped into the ship we were doing, and it was just constant, and that was cool, and you know that was fun, but those don't happen that often.
Okay, Waffles get enough press. They brought Mr. Rive out of retirement. That's enough. That's enough. That means they're getting enough press. Him and Seamus hung out before Pandemic Legion was ever a thing, right? Like just hanging around, dicking around down in Stain and shit like that. Like, they're the oldest of buddies, and Rive is loyal as fuck. But that dude's been like, you know, had a lot to do with 4 or 5 of our winning, or, you know, 4 or 5 of our Alliance tournament teams, and a lot of those were winning teams. He's really good at coaching and being a team captain and shit like that. He's almost always flown in the matches on the teams. He's probably one of the best Tyrannus pilots you'll ever meet in your entire life.
Well, I'm just thinking about other news stuff that came out recently, and I know that you saw it, Hendrick. But Grath, did you see the trailer for Due Process? It's like a little SWAT-esque indie shooter that's coming out soon, apparently.
No.
It's on the site, but basically what it is it's kind of like the original Rainbow Six.
I saw the article for it, but I didn't read it. I read the other one.
It's basically an indie Rainbow Six, like how a Rainbow Six used to be, and where you would plan your invasion or your attack. But the thing that kind of flips it on its head is it's a team versus team PvP game. So the defending guys can actually plan their attack, and they go about and do it in their own way. So it's kind of like how Rainbow Six Siege is supposed to be in terms of multiplayer when that comes out. But this is like an indie game, which is kind of cool in the fact that it's an indie game that's doing what AAA game's trying really hard to do.
Yeah, it's the thing that I'm really interested in is apparently it's going to have a destructible environment. Apparently Rainbow Six Siege, which we're going to check out at PAX, has the same thing, but destructible environment, and then you can draw on the map a la DEF CON, or I don't remember if the old SWAT games had it, but you can like draw arrows sort of like when you're talking and that kind of thing, and like make little plans on your map during the planning phase. And then it actually appears in the actual like shooting phase, like you can see little arrows on the ground for your team to like tell you like what's up and where to go and that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a game that I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of looking more forward to Rainbow Six, but then I realized that it was Ubisoft and I would have to use Uplay, So that's kind of ruining my dream for that game.
Also,
if a game company like Valve wants to make a game like Rainbow Six Siege, but put it on a better supported server system, that'd be awesome. So you guys should do that.
Also, Due Process has the most satisfying looking gun mechanics I've seen in a while. Like, the guns just fire really nice, and they have, like, really good rattling, and there's, like, lots of particles and blood everywhere. It's just, like, it looks really satisfying to shoot a gun, if the trailer is any indication.
Kind of like Insurgency is really satisfying to
Yeah,
fire.
Insurgency is a really good game that I think has flown under a lot of people's radars in terms of that. Because, like, when I first saw it and I didn't buy it, like, right off the bat, I was like, oh, is this like just a Counter-Strike type game? Like, whatever. And then I played it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so much better than Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's a good. I don't even like the game that much. Like I think I even uninstalled it. Maybe let me look. Did I uninstall? I might have uninstalled the fucking game. Like I didn't like it that much, but I know I like the gun mechanics for it. And if you want to hear Jeff Rader, jerk off on air, you just bring up the gun mechanics in this game, and he'll go on for hours.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Yeah.
Because he's a Canadian talking about guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you ever play Red Orchestra 2? That was another game that had really satisfying gun
we usually
mechanics.
play that as well.
Still have that actually.
Because that was free for everyone to download the multiplayer version of, or at least the base vanilla multiplayer version.
That reminds me, I want to get. Thanks, Hendrick.
Oh.
Did Hendrick remind you to buy Rising Storm?
Yeah, he just did. Well, I wanted to get it. I wanted to get the Rising Storm half of it because, so if you don't buy Rising Storm and you just have Red Orchestra 2, you can play all the Japanese maps and stuff like that, but you can only play as a rifleman. So you can never use any of the other cool shit. Like you can't be the flamethrower guy. I want to really be the flamethrower guy.
Yeah, that game is really good. Red Orchestra 2, and now they're doing Killing Floor 2. Which Killing Floor also, like, what is it with indie games and having just really satisfying, like, clunky, loud, heavy recoil, like, cool guns? Like, man, why can't more modern games have that kind of, like, satisfying gun mechanics?
I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know.
Well, I think we're coming to the end of the podcast, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out, unless either of you have something else you'd like to throw in here.
No, I have nothing to add other than I am still of the opinion that Grath Telkin should make a YouTube Let's Play channel, and basically use the gimmick of him just being angry at every game, because that would be amazing.
I think it would spend more time. I would spend more time petitioning to get my account unlocked for something. I think that I would do recording it. You're not the first person to tell me that though. Like I've been told I should have a Twitch channel too or some shit.
The thing that would be great about it though, like in my personal opinion, is just because it's the Schadenfreude of watching you get so angry at something. That's just like on OG Mumble. That's a ton of fun. So
yeah, I can tell. Sometimes you go out of your way just to make me yell at you, and then you get butthurt.
There's definitely instances where people just intentionally try to instigate you into rage because it's so easy and so much fun.
I'm glad my future stroke entertains you.
It's probably a heart attack more than anything. Let's be honest.
No, they say the Germans did a study and said that people that get angry and express their anger live on average 2 years longer than people that don't.
So you're actually extending your life every time you get angry at people.
Every day.
So you want to take us out, Hendrick?
Yeah, so for more videos, reviews, news, and everything EVE Online and video game related, you can always visit us on thematani.com. You can always follow Grath Telkin at Grath Telkin on Twitter. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys.